Going to be a short video on HTML and semantic HTML. So hopefully this video will show you how to write the basic, HTML code, and also give you an idea of why you should choose the tags that are available and why you should use those tags and how you should use them. Even though we won't cover all the tags in existence, hopefully by the end of this video you should have an idea of how to find the tag you need when you're building an HTML page. So for the example here, I have a document that I created in Google Docs that is a portfolio or website that I might create for myself. And what I did is I wrote down all the things that I wanted to put on my web page. So I'm going to put the name, my portfolio, and then I created 3 sections. Recent projects, my work, and experience. And then for each of these sections, I created, the section itself. And I wrote the name of the section and then the title of the project or whatever it was, and, a description and a couple paragraphs. Here's the my work section. I have a couple projects down here, and they each have a title. And then I have an experience section, right? And I wrote down some work experience, and then I wrote down some awards, right? And then a contact and a, interesting link section. Maybe I could fill this in with the actual links, but let's just assume there's a list of links there, right? And what we would do normally if we were writing this as a Word doc is you might select the element and then go up to one of the formatting options here and say this is going to be the title of my document. Okay, and you chose the title and it made it look like a title, and so the visual appearance is telling people that this is the title. Now the concept of HTML takes this idea and turns it on its head. Okay, so what will we do? I'm going to undo that. And what would we do if we wanted to make a web page that had all these things in it? Okay, what we're going to do is I'm going to use Visual Studio Code, which is this program here. Right, I'm going to close that, right? And I'm going to close this, but this is Visual Studio Code. You can download this for free. It's a code editor. You can do all these examples with brackets or Atom or Sublime Text or any other code editor, okay? And Visual Studio Code works in a project format. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a folder to organize a project. So I have a folder that I've created on the desktop here called Portfolio. And what I'll do is I'll drag that on top of Visual Studio Code, and then it'll open it up here like this. And in the left column, if you click on this button at the top here, it'll show you a list of files that are in your folder. And right now, currently my folder is empty, right? So there's nothing in here, right? It's empty. So I don't see anything yet. And if I want to create a file, I can click this little button here, or you can do Command N to make a new file, right? So I'll click the button there and I'll make a new file. And what we do is our base page is always called index.html. So I'll put that here, and now this is the content of my page, right? And what we do with an HTML document is we need to put some formatting. And actually the secret here is these Google Docs and Word docs, they actually have some secret formatting behind the scenes that you don't see, that the document hides from you. So the HTML isn't going to hide anything from us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type doc type at the top like this. What's nice about using the code editor is the code editor will code hint, or I started typing the first couple characters here, and then it suggested that I wanted the rest of this, and I just hit return, and it typed the rest for me, right? So this first line right here kind of says what version of HTML we're going to use, right? So this says it doesn't say 5 on here, but this actually is the doc type for HTML5, version 5, which is what we're going to use. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a tag that looks like this. Now a tag begins with the angle bracket and ends with the angle bracket and has a name in between. Okay, so you might type this and then you put a name in here. Okay, so this is called a tag, and usually tags come in pairs. There's some exceptions to this, like for example the doc type tag here, right? But the tags come in pairs, and the closing tag has a slash in it. So if we open the tag here, we can put stuff in between it, and then the closing tag says when that stuff ends. Okay, So we can say when something begins and when something ends. So we're going to say HTML. So this HTML tag tells us that this is an HTML document and all of the contents of that document is within this tag. Okay? So the tag needs some, or the document needs some metadata, and we always put that in the head of the document. So the head isn't actually displayed in the web browser, but it's used by the browser to determine like the name of the document and what language you're using and some other details, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another tag here, the body tag. So you'll see that when I type these, I type the opening head tag followed by the closing head tag. And when I type the body tag, I made sure that I close the head tag first. So one of the rules here is that tags cannot overlap. So for example, if I had put the body tag here, actually see the code editor doesn't even want to let me do that, right? But if I put it here and I had the head tag, you can see the head tag opens here and it closes here with the slash, but that overlaps the body tag, so this would not be valid, okay? So I'm going to undo and go back to where I was, right? So here I have the head tag and the body tag. So the head tag has meta information. It's like information about my document, and the body tag has all the contents of the document, okay? So what are we going to do? Inside the head tag, one of the meta information pieces here is the, or one of the pieces of metadata is the title of the document. So I can say, you know, my portfolio, okay? And the body tag contains all of the things that you see on a web page. Okay, so when you open this up in your web browser, and I can do that here, I'll open up my folder, I'll grab my index.html, and actually you can just double click it and it should open in a web browser, or you can even just drag it on top of your web browser like this and it'll open. And right now I don't see anything, but what I do see is I do see my portfolio here in the tab because that was picked up from the title. Okay, so if I want to see something on the page, I can put it in the body tag and I can say, you know, hello world. And when I go to the browser and refresh, I can see hello world shows up here. So the body tag contains the contents that you'll see inside the browser window. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to put my portfolio in there. So I'm going to grab the text that I've typed up, and really, like, this is important. Like, you should probably always write the content that you're going to use for your web page, like write it out somewhere else. Right? Put it in Word or some document where you can spell check it and read it and run it past your team to make sure everybody agrees with the things that are in there, you know, and it isn't missing anything. And then we can put it inside our web pages that we're creating, right? So I'm going to paste everything here inside the body tag, okay? And when I save that and I go back to the browser and I refresh, you can see there's all the text, and that doesn't look that great. There's no formatting, right? And that's fine. We're really not worried about what it looks like, okay? Because that's in the realm of CSS, and we'll do another lesson on that later. What we're really concerned with is that the content here, the things that we write, are marked up to describe and give them context, okay? So what does that mean? Well, when I created my portfolio, I created it in sections. And actually, I could even look at the whole portfolio as its own section. So I'm going to put the section tag here. So a section tag says everything between the section, the opening section, and the closing section are part of the same section. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut this tag and move it all the way to the bottom and say all of this belongs to the same section. I'm going to format this a little bit too so it looks a little better there. There we go, right? And maybe to show that all these things are inside the section, I'll tab them once like that. Okay, so all this stuff belongs together in a section, so that doesn't change anything, right? And every section, if you're going to have a section, it needs to have a header, right? So what I'll do is I'll say that this is going to be my header. Okay, so the header is kind of the beginning part of the section. And I'm going to take my portfolio and put it inside there. Okay, So this says this is a header for whatever. So a header is like the introductory information for a section, okay? And inside a header, you might have a heading, and a heading is the text that is the name of that section. So I'm going to say my portfolio is the heading for this section, right? And I put it all in the header. So now it says my portfolio, right? And this looks a little bigger because by default the browser assigns a style to the H1 tag. Don't worry about that. That's actually unimportant. What's more important here is that we labeled this as the header and we said that this is the heading. And this is important because automated services may look at the code here like another computer, and it wouldn't be able to pick out one word from another word because it doesn't really understand what we're writing. But if I label things with the tags, it will understand them. This is good for screen readers. If you get a job at a company, they will require you to make your websites accessible to people with disabilities, and these tags help screen readers and other disability helper tools to do their job, okay? Also, it makes it good for people like other people reading the page. Like if you're reading the code, you can kind of see that this is the H1 and understand what it means, okay? So there we go. Maybe this next thing right here, I'm going to actually make this a navigation section because I want to be able to click on these links later and link to areas of my document. So I'm going to make this a nav section. And really what I have here is I have a list of links. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the UL tag, and that says unordered list. So everything inside the UL is an unordered list. Okay, so the unordered means that the order of these things doesn't matter. So if we were creating a recipe, the order that you did the steps of the recipe would be important, in which case we would use an OL. So the idea here is the tag is adding extra information to the actual text of the page. So I've created a list here. I've marked it up to know that these things are all related, and I've said that they're unordered, so the order of them doesn't matter. Okay? Some tags work together. They work in concert, right? The UL tag works with an LI tag. So the LI tag says I'm a list item of either a UL, unordered list, or an OL, an ordered list. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the LI tag here around my projects, and then I'm going to put another LI tag here. And don't worry if you're not typing this as fast as I type it. I've done this like 1,000 times, so I do it a little quicker, right? But there we go. So now I've got a nav. So nav says this is going to be navigation for your page, especially important for accessibility stuff, right? And this is a UL, says I have a list, and then each one of the LIs is one list item. So in a UL, you can't have anything except list items, though inside a list item you can have as many tags as you want. But the children of the UL should all be list items, or the OL. Okay, so anyway, so there we go. So now let's imagine I have a section here with a header and a nav, and now what I want to do is I want to define these other sections that I have. So this section is called recent projects. So what I'm going to do is remember we're still inside the section tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another section. Okay, so there's my section, and it's going to be this area right here, recent projects. I'm actually going to close up this sidebar to give me a little more room there, right? And so here's a section. Now, if we remember earlier, I said that every section should have a heading. So recent projects should be the header for this section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a header tag. Now, header tag is different from the head tag. I know the names are very similar, but the head tag is meta information for the document, and the header tag goes on the page. It's content, and it says that this is the heading or beginning of a section. Okay, so I'm going to put the header here, and then I'm going to take recent projects and move it inside. And now really, I have a section here called My Portfolio, and that's the entire content of the page. And now I've created a subsection because inside this section I have another section. So when you do that, you should have a subheader. So what we have is we have a series of headers H1 through 6. H1 is the top level heading, and when you have a subheading, you make it an H2, right? Or if this section, the recent project section, had a subsection, we would use the H3 for that to head that section. So I'm going to type in H2 here, and then now I have some other things here, right? So actually, you know what, this San Francisco Public Spaces, this actually could be kind of a subsection here also. Yeah, I don't know how I'd mark that up. Let's think about it. But maybe for this, what I'll do is, yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll do this as an H3. And there's a little bit of interpretation here, and there's more than one way to do this. But I think I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this an H3, and then this is maybe a sentence or a paragraph of text. It's pretty long, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this up with the paragraph tag. I'll have to scroll all the way to the end here and close my paragraph, right? Don't miss the closing tag there. Maybe I'll even do it like this, where I'll put the tag on the next line. Like that. And then maybe I'll add another paragraph tag here. And paste this one there. So now I have my new section, right? And then from here, I would continue. So I have another section here that's called My Work, and I could mark that up as a section, okay? So this is called Semantic HTML, and the concept here is that what we want to do is we want to choose the tag that best describes the content that it surrounds, okay? And let's actually take a look at what we have here. Oh, so that's actually looking okay. Oops, I have a mistake there, okay? Let me see, where is that? Oh, so it says, let's try and figure it out. So it says recent projects. Oh, I guess I have an extra tag here. And there must be another one. Oh yeah, right there. Okay, so that doesn't look too bad, right? So it's looking okay. And again, the actual appearance doesn't matter because our style sheet will take care of it. So idea is semantic HTML. So we're going to pick the tag that best describes the content, okay? And then try and put the content together in a way that describes the idea and the structure and the concepts that we're trying to convey. So I'm trying to convey that this is my portfolio. Everything inside this section is related information. And if I have a subsection, I'm trying to convey that this is the heading for that subsection. This titles that subsection, right? And then here I'm saying that I have a list of things that I want to work with. They happen to be navigation, so I wrapped them in the nav tag. And then each one of these is one item in the list, okay? So now the question becomes, what kind of tags are there, and what tags can we use to describe this information, right? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the web and we're going to look up, actually, we're not going to Google, right? We're going to Google HTML5 tag list, right? And there's a whole bunch of these you can look up. I'm going to use the W3 Schools semantic elements here. And they give us, for some reason my browser's not, oh there we are, right? It's not cooperative. Why is this thing so crazy? Let me get a better, maybe I'm gonna get this reference. You know when you're doing something like this and then all of a sudden, maybe their website is not working. Let's see, you know what we can do is we can actually use the Mozilla site too. That HTML5 one is okay too. But what they're going to do here is, and a lot of sites have this information too, is they're going to give us a list of all the tags that you can use, okay? And they'll group them under headings. So here it says main root HTML tag. So that's the top level tag. Everything has to go inside here. And then there's a bunch of tags that are document metadata. So I use the head tag, and then there's a few more that you can use. And then there's sectioning root. So the root of your project goes in the body tag. And then there's content sectioning. So here we can divide content up by these tags. So there's a header tag, a footer tag, H1 through 6. We talked about those. Section tag, nav tag. And then inside those tags, you can use these text content tags. So if you're quoting someone and you have a block of text that you're quoting, you can use the block quote. If you have an image, you can wrap it in the figure and the figure caption. So if your image has a caption underneath it, you'd use the figure to surround the image and the caption, and then the caption to surround the text caption for the image, right? And then there's our list tag, right? And each one of these, if we click on this, it'll show you a little sample of how to use it, right? So my challenge to you now is to write your own portfolio, follow my steps, write up your text, like say what you want to say. And it doesn't have to be portfolio. You could write up anything, like your new business idea, your new website idea, your art projects, whatever. Just write down the information about it and think about how you would convey that in a document. Just write it down. And then let's copy and paste it into an HTML document. Include the base tags like the doc type, HTML, head tag, and body tag. And then fill in the other tags and use the semantic HTML to describe the content. So if something's a section, wrap it in the section tag. If it's a header, wrap it in the header tag. If it's at the heading itself, like the text heading, you can use the H1 through 6. If you have a subsection, use the H2, 3, 4, right? If you have a list of things, use the list tag. If the order matters, use the OL, right? And, I couldn't go over all the tags. It would be really boring to go over them anyway, right? So what I want you to do is explore the list of tags here and try and find all the tags that describe things on your page, right? And really dig in here and kind of read about these and say like, which ones of these really are useful? Or, which ones relate to the things that I've said in my document? Okay, so anyway, try that out and let me know how you do, and thanks for watching.